Hi, folks. I am so happy to be here. Heather, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And Ron, thank you so much for the invitation to participate in this reading. It's such an honor to be reading with Alexandra and Mary. And honestly, it's also just incredibly exciting to be here as an audience member listening to their extraordinary work. This is just, this is just so fantastic to hear all this wonderful poetry today during National Poetry Month. I am so happy to be here in celebration and support of the Alaska Quarterly Review. And I just want to express my gratitude that this amazing journal exists and has been such a legendary presence in the literary community for so long. And I am so proud that my work has appeared in its pages. I am going to be reading poems to you now from my my upcoming book. It's going to be coming out next spring, Milkweed Editions. And the book is called Real Phonies and Genuine Fakes. And I thought I'd start off by reading a poem about magicians. And this poem is based on Jim Steinmeier's book, Hiding the Elephant, How Magicians Invented the Impossible and Learned to Disappear. So, the magicians at work. Over the years, they hunted the wayward apprentice watchmakers, the disappointing sons who transformed their surnames, hunted over acres of hinges, cogs, calluses, hidden whiskey, mustaches, a breath from Farrell, poured an ocean of fortune into fabrications of brass and iron, spent entire seasons strumming massive harps of wire into perfect calibrations of invisibility, prayed to the gods of adjustable mirrors, cursed the gods of temperamental gaslights, broke the legs of imitators and thieves, chewed holes in each other's pockets, harnessed nightmares of giant silver hoops, making endless passes over the bodies of the dead, hoisted high a cenotaph for hundreds of sacrificed rabbits, breathed miles of delicate thread into the lost labyrinth of their lungs, all to make a woman float, and none of them ever thought of simply asking her. This next poem I'm going to read was published in the AQR, and part of the poems in this book, in these poems, a lot of them I'm trying to write more directly just about my own experiences, my own struggles with mental illness. And so, this is an important poem to me in that respect, and so proud that it was an AQR. The poem is inspired in part by Fernando Botero's painting, Melancholy, and this is Etymology. Etymology. Those were the days when I didn't want to kill myself, but I did take the word suicide out of my pocket now and then, its syllables like the undulations of black and orange-furred caterpillars, revolting and adorable. Sometimes the word would grow tender rows of quills that I could stroke and pluck into a private music. Even the abysmal eyes of horses watching me as I walked through their country of flies could not silence it. I was the man in his dead mother's summer dress, preening over one shoulder in a hand mirror, admiring how his dark hair foamed at the décolletage, waiting for the annihilating footstep on the stair. Next poem is for all the romantics out there. Small Claims Courtship. I took the 27 bones from my left hand and made a xylophone on which to play you love songs. I dragged a wheelbarrow of sugar backwards over the parking lot so the ants could spell out your name. In your honor, I placed a respectable second in the county fair's eel eating contest. After my long-term letter writing campaign, Uruguay has agreed to reclassify you as its national fern. That easily blackmailed cosmonaut will be whispering blessings upon you when she faces Jupiter. A kindergarten in Duluth dreams only of your smile at nap time. I'd rather not say how or why. I've tuned the grackles to the key of your favorite jingle. Not perfectly, no. The world still fights me a little. Let's not even mention the angle of that cloud. I name my right shoe Twitter-pated and my left shoe hopeless before I circle your mailbox each night. My exhale is symptom and my inhale is remedy. This next poem is based on a really fantastic book by Melissa Milgram. It's a nonfiction book called Still Life: Adventures in Taxidermy. The poem begins with an epigraph from the World Taxidermy Championships rulebook book about a specific category of taxidermy called recreations. So here's the quote. Recreations are defined as renderings which include no natural parts of the animal portrayed. For instance, a recreation eagle could be constructed using turkey feathers, or a cowhide could be used to simulate African game. There's a poet mentioned in the poem, and the poet in question is Marianne Moore. And this is called Mating Call of the Recreation Panda. Cleanliness is my only real fault. I could have done with a little faux shit yellowing my rump, something to make it seem like the bamboo I'm chewing will end up somewhere. I bear the bodies of 17 grizzlies on my back alone, peeled, dried, Clairol dyed and quilted into the whole of me. I know that my ears were done with great tenderness, and one quiet evening my maker even briefly held one in his mouth. That I have no memory is hardly his fault. I'm not even a ghost, since this requires both life and death as precedent. Says the poet, what is more precise than precision? Illusion. I am more precise than the clockwork of your own expiring mitochondria. Come closer. Try to guess the provenance of my claws. Gently blow the dust from the smoked snifters of my eyes. Imagine from what or whom your own body could be collaged, whose lips could be stitched into an homage of your smile. Take my lie in your arms. This next poem is about Bruce Wayne, for whom I have some choice words. Dear Bruce Wayne, my parents are dead too. A dirty, self-cannibalizing Gotham. I also claim it, its city limits built by my skin. I slough and slough, but the city remains. Tell me, if you'd watched your mother's face go a slow yellow after they cut off her breast, if you'd watched your father's mind get chewed down to spasms, who would you fight then? What broken string of pearls would you chase into the gutter? Lucky boy to have an enemy. Admit it. What bugs you the most about the Joker is his drag. You suspect his crayoned mouth a lampoon of your dead mother. But don't you crave sometimes to be a little tacky? Doesn't the all-black bore after a while? Even your sweet ride can't help but leave a little fart of flames in its wake. How many others glare from the shadows in a one-man parade in a loud costume, blowing glitter kisses at grim justice? You just think you want to kill him for better reasons. What kind of person would trade laughter for righteousness? Every woman goes out knowing what you think you alone had sussed. The world is a dark alley hiding a gun in its mouth. It has more than enough reasons to make you cover your face. The moon waxes, the bruise wanes. Every woman is Batman. This is a second to last poem warning. And this poem is called Because My Grief Was a Tree. Because my grief was a tree, it forgave the dog that pissed on it. It moderated quarrels between the stones. It had a few knots that looked like a weeping face. It had a few knots that looked like a laughing face. It never stopped grasping the earth. It was badly tuned by the wind. It grew inedible fruit. It grew fruit that fed the worms magnificently. It held a yellow newspaper on its head for 7 months. It felt the rumba in a squirrel's chest pressing against it. It wore a gash from when my friend was drunk and stupid. It looked up at the geese in their lofty arrows. It looked up at the geese in their trombone-heavy operettas. It looked up at the geese and wished them all good shoes. It stretched its arms wider every year. It waved its dozens of dark hats over the grass. For this next poem, my last poem, rather, this is there's a brief moment where the speaker has a dialogue with God about 2/3 of the way through, and God answers back. So I'll try to indicate that with my voice as much as I can. I'm sure you'll recognize the voice of God when you hear it. And this is a poem. I always worry that I'm gonna get kicked out of the poetry club because because of this poem's title. But you know, what are you gonna do? I gotta be me. So this is The Poet Who Does Not Believe in Ghosts. The poet who does not believe in ghosts walks through the darkened house and knows she is alone. The groans in the pipes are not secret communiques meant for her deciphering. The gnashing of the floorboards is just old wood badly joined. There is no century-old vengeance reaching out from mirrors, no floating ethereal feet advancing over the bedroom's threshold. The branch tapping against the window is a branch tapping against the window. It is not that she has no fear or that she is stubbornly logical. She believes death is God's apology for suffering, a promise that the deepest human pain will never be eternal. The sudden cataclysms of the brain, the helplessness of search parties, children savaged, watching one's beloved go mad, the slow betrayal of the body. It is death and not the rainbow that is God's covenant with mankind. So you won't set us back upon the earth afterwards, transparent and helpless, singing out our griefs as we move empty chairs about in empty rooms? No, I would never. So let her make her unpoetic way through cobwebs and past unsettled curtains. Let her be content that her mother, her father, are not disturbing the genealogies of attic dust. The friends she's outlived are not circulating damp manifestos in the basement's shadows. They do not need her to solve anything, are not writing her letters to which she owes replies. Let her be content that she is completely unnecessary to her beloved dead. Thank you again so much.